Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to the fourth round of the 2023 karting season. This video is brought to you by my social media. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram or Facebook via the link in the description to make sure that you're always up to date and get extra content. Alright, so the first race I qualified in 8th place, which wasn't too bad. I wasn't too unhappy with that. It was again, it's kind of damp conditions to start off the day. It wasn't, I mean it was mostly dry lines around the track everywhere, but there was a few places where it was still a little bit damp. It's been really weird this season, just every single race has kind of started in exactly the same positions, it's conditions for the weather. I kind of lose a position there at the start on the first couple of corners, and then I get hit into the back there as well into the tight right-hander. So it wasn't the best of first laps, you know. And then I found myself sort of towards the back end of the top 10 vying for position for the whole race pretty much with, you know, 2 or 3 people. So and this is kind of how the first race usually goes, because you know you have your qualifying and then you have the first race straight after, and obviously you're gridded up in the order that you qualified. So for this first race in general, people are in the positions where they qualified. They are where their pace naturally dictates they should be for whatever given kart they're in. But that isn't the case for the second race, which is obviously the final. This counts as the pre-final. The second race, you know, you're in the position where you finished the previous race, but the karts all get swapped around. So it you know, there might be some quicker karts at the front and quicker karts at the back. It's all luck of the draw, and it's you know, it's all luck based for the first race as well, depending on which kart you randomly get assigned for qualifying. Got hit in the back there again, but yeah, you know, this first race tends to be a little bit more like that, where it settles down a little bit earlier. But there's still potential for people to be, you know, going off all over the place and making crazy moves like you can see there, and getting hit into the tyres like you saw a few corners ago from the guy in front. So yeah, it's certainly still potential for action, but it tends to be a little bit less so than the second race, because after the first couple of laps people generally settle into their positions, and that was the pace that they had in terms of the qualifying anyway. It's not as if you're going to get someone coming from 10th place on the grid after qualifying to win the race, whereas when it comes to the final, depending on the kart performances for people around, that is very much something that can happen and has happened multiple times. So yeah, I'm in 10th place here, and you know, I'm kind of in a battle, and this guy was looking behind, and I basically just signaled to him, just think, you know, forward. I'm not going to attack you. Let's try to work together a little bit and go forward, because I felt like I had the pace on some of the guys in front, or at least if we were given the chance to, you know, put that pace down. Obviously I qualified in 8th place and I've lost a few positions, so theoretically based on qualifying times I should be able to catch up and do something. And obviously that is starting to manifest itself now, as we see that the 2 guys in 7th and 8th place are battling, so that's allowing us to catch up. It doesn't take much for you know, 1 or 2 seconds per lap to be lost whilst you're battling with someone. It doesn't take much of that for then you to be bringing people in behind, and that's obviously exactly what's happening here. And this is where it's all going to get sort of a bit spicy, because it feels like those of us in 8th, 9th and 10th positions here have a bit more pace than the guy who's in 7th. So, you know, I'm at the back of this pack obviously, and I'm just kind of keeping a bit of a watching brief on everything, looking to see how things go and maybe see if I can, you know, take an opportunity at some point. And it feels like I just have to, you know, see what I can do. There's no point in trying to force it too much and then start battling and losing a lot of time and bringing people behind in and then dropping a few more positions. So I'm just trying to balance how attacking I'm going to be, and this is a point where, you know, the guy in 8th there, he, after getting overtaken, he goes for a bit of a move that doesn't come off, and then he tries to keep his position there on the inside. So I try to go up on the inside. I get one, and then I get the other one going into the chicane. I leave a bit of space on the inside, but I don't get that same treatment on the outside, and that's fair enough, to be honest. In that situation, I was on the outside of the corner. I was behind. I deserved to be run out of room there. I would have done exactly the same thing. So yeah, it was worth a try, but you know, I went straight back down into 10th place. But it's signalling that, you know, the guy ahead of him has gotten ahead and he's started to drive away a little bit, and it feels like me and the guy in front of me are gonna be able to, if we get an opportunity and get past, be able to pull away a little bit and at least make that position. So again, I'm just keeping a bit of a watching brief on everything, and I see it goes for an overtake up the inside there, and this is where I spy an opportunity to, you know, I think, okay, this is my chance, get up on the inside there and get the better line through the corner, get up into 9th place, and that's pretty much how it ends, you know, because the guy in 8th place just in front of me kind of gradually pulls away, and then I'm pulling away from the guy who's now in 10th place. But it's not much. I do get hit up the back there, and he apologises for it. But beyond that, nothing really happens. You know, it's about a 1/10 of a second per lap difference. But that's kind of how it is, and that's how these first races generally go. You know, and they settle down a lot earlier, and you can't really do much because that's just the pace that you settle into for the race. So yeah, apart from the fact that there were a few black flags for people in front, as we come round to the first corner of the 6th lap, you'll see me pass someone on the inside who was off on the grass, and presumably there were black flags given for people ahead of who were sort of involved in that. So by the end of the race, I made up 3 positions through doing nothing. So I ended up finishing 6th place in this race, just through, you know, making that overtake, as you saw, from the guy off on the grass, and then presumably, I don't really know, but presumably 2 black flags further ahead, and they were, you know, taken out of the race, and they seem to be cracking down on that a lot more over the last few rounds. I even got a contact flag at a contact board at some point during the race that I have no idea what it was for, but I got one regardless, and I got a black flag in qualifying for having the audacity to let people past and try to get a clean lap. So it's a little bit weird, but hey, I'll take a 6th place for the first race, and it gives me a good starting position for the second race. So the final, starting in 6th place, and you know, I get a decent little start there because someone's kart who was standing in 4th place, it doesn't really want to start moving. So I'm up into 5th, and I've obviously got someone on the inside of me, and again, just kind of trying to survive this first lap. Really, that's generally what it's always about. I don't think I've managed to get through the first corner there, the tight right-hander, without getting hit in the back so far this season, so this was a nice change in this race to do that. But yeah, you know, again, this is the final, so we've just done the pre-final, and the final is where the trophies are handed out, and I'm not too confident in my kart performance so far. It feels like it's okay, but you know that there's quicker karts behind her who are going to be coming through, and unless you can get sort of into the lead early, you're probably going to get caught up at some point. In the lead, we do actually have Penfold, who got a really great start, and I've talked about him in my previous videos. And in 3rd place is Callum Cleat, so the 3 of us from the 2014-2015 era who are still racing here. We are in the top few positions in this race, and I'll try to bring in some other names that I know, not that I really know anybody else in terms of talking to them or whatever, but you know, I think in 2nd place his name is Ramsey, and he's leading the championship at the moment, and I'll try to do that as time is going on, so you know, at least you can get an idea of who are the same people as the races go on, who I'm racing with over the, you know, the episodes. So yeah, I've managed to survive the first lap, still in 5th place, which is pretty good. I'm not too dissatisfied about that. And the battling that's going on up in front, it doesn't seem like Penfold's getting away in the lead despite all this battling, and the battling between Cleat and Ramsey in 2nd and 3rd place is allowing me and the guy in 4th place to stay with them. And you know, it's obviously really starting to kick off now, and I'm obviously conscious that there's there's 30 other carts behind us that all want a piece of this action as well. So I managed to get a little bit of an overtake there up into 4th place. Just opportunistic, waiting for an opportunity as battling is happening in front. And then again the same sort of thing as we come on to lap 3. We can see Cleat is just up the inside of Ramsey there, going into the first corner, and he gets the move done. And then I again, just opportunistic, taking that opportunity to get up the inside, going into there, and I'm up into 3rd place. And these are the top 3 positions for the podium. These are where the trophies are handed out, and we're going back to 2015. You might, Penfold in 1st, Cleat in 2nd, me in 3rd. It was like it was 2015 all over again. And actually, one of the clips from the start of my other videos, where you might see where I use this clip as a way to promote the Real Life Racing series on other videos, this was the same 3. It was Penfold in the lead, Cleat in 2nd, me in 3rd. I get a really nice overtake at that point to get up into 1st place. Don't manage to do that this time, but I don't know, it was kind of nice. I've sort of been waiting for that to potentially happen at some point, where the 3 of us who were still racing in 2014 and 2015 were in those top 3 positions, or at least racing together. And yeah, it happened here, so it was just a nice little thing there. We just need Smithy to come back now to make it a 4. But yeah, it was. It seems like, at least based on since I got into 3rd and Cleat got into 2nd, it felt like I was catching up to Penfold very slowly, but Cleat was catching up to him much quicker. As you can see, you can tell. So it wasn't too long before Cleat ended up making the overtake, getting into the lead, and doing what he used to do quite often in 2014 and 2015, and in the first race of today as well, and driving off into the sunset and taking the win. So Cleat actually won both races of this weekend, and took home the winner's trophy. But I thought, hey, we're still in with, I was still catching Penfold. I'm in 3rd place. I'm still in a good position. Maybe I can, sneak into a trophy, fight over 2nd place maybe. So I was still in good position at this point, and feeling quite good. But it felt like as the race was going on, relative to other people, my kart was getting slower. Now, my kart actually wasn't getting slower in real terms, but as other people's karts were getting faster and faster, mine kind of wasn't, at least to the same rate. And you'll see that during the course of this race, where this is kind of the first round since I came back into the championship where I felt like I was held back by the kart that I had, and it's actually one of the same karts that I had in one of the very first rounds, number 23, but back then I wasn't really sort of on it as much. I wasn't able to drive it as well as what I was probably able to do today, again just through having to relearn everything from it being so long for me, getting all that rust off and things like that. So you'll see it as we go on that I felt that, okay, we're going to have a battle on our hands to even keep a top 3 and a trophy. Obviously, the trophies are handed out for the top 3 positions, but it was going to be a battle to even get anything in this one. And the fact that I was also catching up to Penfold in 2nd meant that he was experiencing the same thing as well. He just had a little bit of a better start than I did, but he was in a pretty slow kart also. And you can see it right here straight away. I lose the 3rd place there to Ramsey, who just comes flying past me basically. And to be honest, I've got to say, my defending is pretty shocking at the minute. I think in general my racecraft hasn't felt too bad since I came back, and it wasn't as, I feel like my overall pace and driving ability was the thing that I was most rusty on, obviously because I've been racing in other games since 2015. It's not as if I've just not done any racing whatsoever, so my racecraft was a little bit okay, but yeah, I mean, you can see there I've been catching up in the corners, or at least not losing pace in the corners. In the chicane I caught up quite a lot there, but I just lose a lot of pace and time on the straights. As soon as that the power of the karts goes to kick in, I just lose a lot of speed, and that's just the nature of racing hire karts. It's just something that I'm accepting. You know, seeing people drive away from me like that, it's frustrating at the time, and it's frustrating to, you know, feel like you could be doing better, but it's the same for everybody. You know, the carts get randomized, everything gets switched around. Over the course of a season, you would hope that it all balances out, and you've just kind of got to play the hand that you're dealt at any point. And in contrast to how I used to feel back in 2015, when I did used to be sort of a bit more annoyed about it, I think I'm more sort of at peace with that now, and I'm just here to have some fun. And, you know, I'm not even looking at championship positions or anything like that, so I'm just here to have some good racing and you know, try to do the best that I can with what I've got in any given situation. But the problem is that when you're in a slower kart, any small mistake and it really is really painful, and this was one of those. Basically, Ramsey took a really tight line into the corner that I wasn't expecting, and I was on the inside busy defending from people behind me already, so it was just a sort of coming together that he was taking a much tighter line than what you would normally do, and then I was taking a tighter line into the corner to you know, defend my position from behind, and we just had it coming together in the middle. It didn't really affect him too much, I think, because he ends up going and finishing in second place anyway, so he was quick enough regardless, and I don't think he would have caught Cleat regardless of if he'd got through earlier or not. So it was more so that I was the one who was big, you know, had a massive disadvantage from that, because I was slowed down. I lost 2 positions, and then I managed to hang out around the outside here, but I'm constantly getting hounded by people, and that is what you're sort of constantly having to deal with when you're in a kart that's a little bit off the pace, is that you can be as quick as you want in the corners and be able to catch up to people and pull away from people in the corners, but any time you get to any stretch of track where, you know, you're on the power for 5 to 15 seconds at a time, you just lose so much speed. Obviously, a little mistake there doesn't help, but those things are going to happen. But, you know, it's just it makes it so much more difficult to get a good position when you're constantly being disadvantaged all the time, basically around the entire lap, and you're never able to, you know, during this race I was never looking forward, I was never thinking forward about where my next overtake was going to come and who I was going to catch up, because I was too busy thinking about people behind me. Having said that, I should have been thinking a little bit more about people behind me and not giving away stupid positions up the inside of the corner like that. You know, again, my defending really needs improvement. I think that is the thing. You know, I've got my win from last week, so my pace is back. I've been overtaking from the off, really, from as soon as we started, so I think that's okay. But I really need to be a little bit more wary of what's going on around me, I think, is the most important thing for the defending. Maybe there's an element where I still feel like I don't deserve to be here, so I'm a little bit, you know, easy on people, and I'm conscious that, like, okay, I'm in a slower kart, it's been years since I've been here, and I don't know all these guys, they're probably all quicker than me, I should just, you know, give in. I need to kind of get out of that mindset, I think, but there's probably still a little bit of that there. I'm too lax at giving away positions at the moment, so I do need to fix that. But, you know, it is what it is, and you can see me sort of during this lap and in general, even when I was in 4th place, I think, behind Ramsey when he'd overtaken me, I am keeping up with these guys and catching up in some of the corners as well, especially in the chicane. Most of the time I'll be quicker through the chicane, and I'll have a quicker exit out of the chicane and catch up to someone for a split second, and then they'll just drive away from me down the back straight. And you know, then that starts me having to defend into certain corners and be slower and not able to take that corner speed. So it's just a vicious cycle of a downward spiral, really. And that is one of the position that I'm in for this race, and it's kind of it is what it is. Now, the one thing that was good for me was that Penfold was in an even worse situation than I was, as we talked about earlier. You can see in the distance there, he's been overtaken by Ramsey at this point, I think, so he's down into third place, but obviously that's the last spot that gets a trophy, so he's defending for his life in an even slower kart than mine, and that's allowing us to gradually catch up. And he's showing me how it's done at this point, really. You know, that's what I should have been doing a while ago, although I think it would have been a lot easier or a lot nicer if I hadn't made that mistake, or me and Ramsey hadn't come together in the hairpin, because I think that was a 3-second time loss or something like that, and then by the end of the race that sort of time loss actually counts. But I think the one thing that was helping Penfold is that there were multiple people he's actually lost it. I'm realizing now, he was talking about this at the end, he lost the position here, so he's down into fourth, and then I think he goes for an overtake on the inside. Yeah, there it is. So that gets him back into third, and he is really fighting hard for this third place, and it's working for him. And I think something that's working for him even more so is that there's so many karts around all battling for their own positions, and I'm right in that now. But again, just because I don't have that raw straight line speed in the kart that the other karts around me do, I'm never looking at where I can make a position. I'm always looking behind, and as you can see, I've already lost a little bit of time on this around the first part of this lap, and then for the next part of the lap in all the corners I make it all back up again, and you can see how quickly I make up the time in the corners all the way until we get to the chicane. You know, I was quite far back coming out of the tight right-hander. I'm right back on the bumper again here, right out of the chicane, and then I'm left behind down the back straight, and you can see me shake my head. So, you know, there was not really much hope for me that, even though I was in this battle and in this position, there wasn't really much hope that I was going to be able to fight for that third place that was just in front of me. It was more about just hoping that something happened and I could take an opportunistic move again. But yeah, it is. It was interesting. At least it was quite the battle, and you know, as you can see, I get overtaken there again, just so much quicker down the straight, and that's something that I should be defending. Really, I should be over to the inside of the track, and I need to improve my defending and just being a bit more aware. Sometimes it's difficult because the karts just are so quick around you that they're already up the inside of you before you can even notice it. But hey, it is what it is. But you know, I would have been happy with 2 top 10s earlier in the season, and the fact that I've been able to sort of hold my own despite the pace difference in the kart, and actually not have too bad of a lap time overall, even though it all came in the corners, and be able to actually fight for some positions like this, as you see, you know, making that opportunistic move outside of the chicane, but then I end up getting smacked in the back going into the final, the hairpin here, and then I'm in the completely wrong position for here, and I end up just losing more positions, and it's just a total mess because I can't get back over to the right line. Thankfully I'm on the inside, so I don't lose 10th, but then it's a drag race to the finish where again I think I'm going to lose out because of my kart performance in a straight. But thankfully I didn't. I actually got that by 1/100th of a second. I managed to keep that position, so I kept 9th place. But again, it was just, you know, that sort of, it was almost the final nail in the coffin, almost losing that 9th place just through the straight line performance. So yeah, you know, it has been a learning experience over the course of the season, and that obviously continues, and I'm going to hope to continually improve as time goes on. It was fun having that sort of 2015 1, 2, 3 for a portion during this race, but yeah, I'll continue to aim to improve, especially when it comes to my defending, and hopefully I'll be one of the ones that gets lucky in a future round and has a quick kart when everyone else is in a slower one. That would be nice. But yeah, you know, I did get my win last week and my 2nd place in the final, so I've already had some good rounds and good performances. So it's just about, you know, doing the best with what I have. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed. I am keeping up with the video stabilization as well, because most of you said that, you know, it was better like that. So hopefully it's better to watch now as well. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments, and I'll see you next time.